Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee, thank you for calling this important hearing and inviting me to participate. As my colleague, Mr. Wiener, pointed out, there's no reliable accounting for the number of sexual assault kits that are backlogged around the country, or even a consensus as to what constitutes a backlog kit. But we do know that sexual assault kits are sitting on shelves for months and years, and the crime labs around the nation are struggling to do more with less. And we know that as a result, rapists are walking the streets and justice for their victims is being denied. I'm sorry to say that Los Angeles knows only too well about rape kit backlogs. In 2008, a full accounting of rape kits sitting in storage for more than 30 days revealed that the backlog stood at over 13,000 kits between the city and county labs. A breakdown of that backlog revealed that over 200 kits in the county alone were older than 10 years, and therefore beyond the statute of limitations for a rape case, even if a positive hit was discovered. Los Angeles is far from alone. Many other cities have these backlogs, whether their citizens know it or not. When I started working to address the Los Angeles backlog, I found that it was not as simple as putting more money into the crime lab. New forensic scientists have to be hired, trained, and then they have to have the lab space and resources to do their jobs. The process from hiring and training a scientist to the point where he or she can process a rape kit can take years to accomplish. To make an immediate dent in the backlog, the city and county both employed the capacity of private labs that had the manpower and expertise to process these kits immediately. Both the city and county have outsourced thousands of kits. Were it not for that option, closing the backlog would have taken years longer if it was possible at all. There is a simple step that could immediately take action to speed the processing of sexual assault evidence and improve the efficiency of public labs. The National DNA Index System rules govern what can be uploaded into the national database. The rules require that any crime scene evidence outsourced by a private lab must undergo a technical review by the public lab, which is a manual rechecking of the private lab's work. The technical review of each kit is a time-intensive process. In fact, the federal government assisted the city of Los Angeles with $500,000 this year that will go entirely towards paying the overtime for forensic scientists who are conducting the technical reviews. For several years now, I've been calling on the FBI to evaluate this rule in light of the evidence that it is an unnecessary and burdensome requirement on overstretched public labs. There have been some suggestions that the call to look at the technical review standards are being driven by private labs. It's simply not the case. If you don't believe me, go to Los Angeles and talk to Mayor Villaraigosa or Chief Charlie Beck or Sheriff Lee Bach and ask them about the impact of technical review on their budgets and the turnaround time for backlogged rape kits. Let me be clear. This is not about private labs versus public labs. I come from a law enforcement background as a former federal prosecutor and have no desire to remove law enforcement functions from public crime labs. I strongly support building the capacity and efficiency of public labs so they can quickly process DNA. I am opposed to opening up CODIS to any private entity, but an overbroad and cumbersome technical review requirement is hampering law enforcement's ability to take dangerous people off the street. I'm pleased that when in March of this year, the FBI announced that they were looking at a technical review rule change and studying possible alterations. There are a range of options on the table for the 100% manual review that preserve the integrity of CODIS. Among these are expert systems that can automate the technical review process. We can also require a high degree of accreditation for private labs and require them to undergo regular audits. I believe, though, the best option would be to require the technical review after a hit in CODIS. What we should not do is continue to hamstring public labs that need immediate capacity, or law enforcement that needs to know whether a profile that has been gathered from a rape kit matches a suspect already in CODIS. As eager as I am to hear more about the intention of the FBI and the NDIS board to modify the existing rules, I'm concerned that the timing will do little to relieve the immediate problem faced by Los Angeles. The LAPD has over 2,000 evidence kits that have been returned from the private labs that are still waiting to be uploaded into CODIS because of the several hours it takes a lab technician to perform the technical review. This is despite the fact that in the thousands of kits in which the technical review has already been performed, they haven't located a single error that impacted the integrity of the database or would have resulted in a false match. For that reason, last week I sent a letter to FBI Director Robert Mueller and Attorney General Holder, asking them to consider immediate steps to ease the technical review burden on LAPD. The FBI is considering options for pilot programs to test the efficacy of alternatives to the 100% manual technical review requirement, and I believe that LA is a perfect venue for a pilot project. 9 other members of the Los Angeles congressional delegation have joined me in writing in requesting this pilot. We believe that Los Angeles can prove the concept of a new technical review regime while speeding the day that the LA backlog is truly closed. In closing, Mr. Chairman, if we are able to accelerate the uploading of these samples that have already been reviewed in Los Angeles, these thousands of kits, statistically we know we will take people off the street that if we wait may go on to commit other rapes and murders. That is the cost of delay. And I want to thank you again for holding this hearing and hope it is the beginning of powerful action to modify the technical review requirement and accelerate the processing of DNA rape kits. And I yield back.
Thank you. Before we get to Mr. Nadler, I just want to recognize